Okay, so I'm just waiting for the YouTube channel to come alive. For some reason, the stream on. Okay, so the stream on YouTube is live now, and we're on live edu and Twitch. So we can basically go ahead and get started. Um, and today, and again, um, just to warn, it's already almost 6 p.m. And I have a house full of kids here, so I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to do today, but this is a long running task, and I plan to live stream all of it. Okay, so basically, what I want to do, I don't want to say today, but in the upcoming days, um, is not super complicated, but I think it's super interesting, for new people coming to the DevOps field, or even, junior engineers or senior engineers, learning DevOps and stuff like that. So what I plan to do is I want to go and install mesos on our production cluster. And basically, mesos is, I think, if you think about an operating system, you basically think about the resources that an operating system has. It has a disk, and you put stuff on it, and you uninstall stuff from it, and so on and so forth. And Mesos, what it does, it turns your entire cluster of machines, your entire cluster of production machines into one single operating system. So what you say is you declaratively say, I want to have this, and I want it to run, and I want to scale it up, and I want to scale it down, and it abstracts the CPU, the memory, the resources management, whether something is up or down, and basically all of the stuff in that realm. So one of the requirements that I have is, we have a stream processing system called Flink, and Flink is, like I said, is a stream processing system, and we basically have a big Flink cluster and a huge Kafka cluster. And what we have is essentially something like this, right? So we have, let me just pull it up here. Okay, so we have a cluster of Kafka instances, right? So we have Kafka, and then this Kafka cluster is receiving, essentially receiving messages from many sources, right? And those messages are then, and it's not right to say messages on a stream, but for the sake of understanding, we'll stick with that term. And those messages are basically consumed by, and again, it's not super correct to say consumed, but we'll stick with that as well, with to our Flink cluster, right? So let me see if I can. Okay, so we have Kafka, and Kafka is receiving tons of streams, and then those streams are being processed by Flink. Um, if you think about it, think about like a huge hose of water, and then the water is just routed into different pipes, under your house, right? And then say Flink is one of those processes, and you want to say, okay, so now process this in a different way. All right. So for example, let's say you have, um, think about analytics, right? So you have a lot of messages coming in. User click this, user click this, user click this, user click this, user click this. You basically process everything with Flink. So we already have Kafka on production. We already have Flink on production for a long time, and Kafka is processing millions upon millions of requests, and obviously Flink is sorry of streams, and then Flink is obviously consuming a lot of these as well. Um, but right now, our Flink cluster is a standalone cluster, meaning that we have um, a standalone cluster of replicated, and then task managers. And what I want to do is I want to have Flink 1.2 was released and with full support for Mesos. So what I want to do is I want to basically install Mesos, configure whatever we need to configure, and then um, what I want to do is I want to work with Vagrant in order to have a local install of that. Um, so all of this is kind of new to the system. So right now there is not an easy way to have Vagrant with a local install in order to check something. So what I want to do is I want to have that, so I will be able to check stuff and be able to run stuff locally without provisioning it to to the servers. Because with Mesos, you need a master, you need a slave, and I don't really like those terms. I think they carry a lot of burden. But let's say you have a leader and a follower, and I'm gonna need a few machines, and because I'm designing this from scratch, and I'm gonna make mistakes along the way, and it's gonna be incremental changes. Um, what I want to do is I want to have a Vagrant install running everything. All right, so before we go any further, I want to explain a bit about the way the way I stream, and a bit about the way I work. So a lot of the streams and a lot of the tutorials out there. I don't want to say streams, but definitely a lot of the tutorials out there are super scripted, right? You're gonna do this, and then you're gonna do this, and then you're gonna do this. Um, and for me, I basically do my streams as I'm working with my clients, right? This is a job I'm doing for a client, um, you know, and I have a job, and this is what I do, and one of my jobs is to have this Flink on top of Mesa. So, I don't have a full on plan about how I'm gonna go about doing that. And this is essentially like the way you do with your day job, right? You have a ticket, or you have some story on Pivotal Tracker or an Asana or Jira or whatever system you work with, and then you go to the planning phase, and then you go to the implementation phase. So I'm essentially doing this, but I'm doing this with you. And because I'm doing this, live, and I'm doing this with you, then you have the opportunity to ask questions and to get involved and to say what's on your mind. So with anything, if anything comes to mind, and you want to talk, and you want your voice heard, so to speak, then just ask your question, and I'll do my best to answer it as I go. Um, okay, so I am streaming this to three platforms. So I'm streaming on Twitch, and I'm streaming on YouTube, and I'm streaming on on Live EDU. So we'll see if we have any questions along the way. Okay, and I know 6 p.m. is kind of a no man's land in terms of watching, because people are on the way back home and stuff like that. But that's okay. I mean, I'm doing it more for me than for anything else. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. And what I'm gonna get started with is I'm gonna get started with Vagrant. Um, so let's go ahead and create. So we have a Docker um, folder here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a directory for vagrant. So let's create just vagrant and cd into it. Whoops, sorry. And then let's say what I'm gonna do first. Let's do the the mesos master first. All right, and then what I'm gonna need to do here is I'm gonna need to create a vagrant file. So let's go, and I never remember, all of the syntax. So let's do vagrant file. All right, so let's see what we have here in the documentation. All right, so load order, I don't really care. I just want to get like a simple minimum minimal version of a vagrant file. All right, so we have vagrant boxes, we have provisioning. I don't really care about any of those. All right, let's see the default vagrant file here. Okay, so we have box, and the box is gonna have a name. We have a box URL. Maybe we can do a vagrant. Let's see which. All right, so let's do. Let's try vagrant init. I think vagrant init works. All right, so yeah, we have vagrant init. And we have a vagrant file here, and I don't really need this. And let's see. Every vagrant environment requires a box. You can search for boxes. All right, so let's go ahead and search for the box. Okay, so let's go ahead and search for the box. And I think for mesos, we can work with Ubuntu, but let's see. You know what? I have a Puppet module here, and let's see if it requires some specific version. All right, I don't see here. Well, let's see in the init here. Let's see if we have something here. No, not so far. All right, not here. And then in the repo, let's see. Okay, repo. Okay, so we have a distribution here. And then the distribution is going to be either, yeah. Okay, so I can work with CentOS or Ubuntu. That's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the trusty 64. Okay, so just going to do this. And yeah, let's copy this. And then let's go to here. And I want to remove this specific vagrant file. And I want to run this init. Oh. Where is it? Here. Right, so let's copy and then paste it here. Vagrant init with Ubuntu. Oh, I don't need vagrant up. Okay. All right. I don't actually need vagrant up right now. Okay. So we have vagrant file, and like I said before, I don't need all of these explaining, and we don't need the update for network. So we're gonna need port 5050. So this is the port for mesos. So let's forward that port. We're gonna need to give ourselves, you know what, we don't need a private network really. We don't need a public network. For synced folder, we do. So we need, let's see where it is. So fl configure, and we have a puppet path. So it's this one. And this is going to be the folder, and we are going to sync. All right, so let's see what do we need to sync. So one folder up, one folder, and then puppet. All right, so two folders up and then puppet. All right, so one, and then two, and then puppet. So this is the folder that we're gonna sync. So we always have the puppet. What else? Specific configuration. Okay, so I don't really need a specific configuration. I don't need a username and a password. I don't need specific settings here. So let's remove this. And this is, I like to keep the things minimal. I don't like all of the comments and stuff like that. If I need them, you know, in the future, I can always look them up. I don't need it here. All right, enable provisioning with shell scripts, additional provisioners. So I'm gonna need Puppet. And let's look at the Vagrant provisioning for Puppet. We already have about, I don't know, 10 people watching across the platforms. The people that just joined, you know, like I said before, and obviously you didn't hear, feel free to ask questions, you know, however basic, whatever they are, I'd love to answer them. Okay, so let's see. One of the provisioners is Puppet. And let's see. So we have Puppet apply, the Vagrant Puppet provisioner allows provision guest using Puppet, specifically by calling Puppet apply, which is exactly what you need. Without a Puppet master, this is exactly what we need. So VM provision Puppet. By default, Vagrant will configure Puppet to look for manifest in the manifest folder relative to the project root. And we use the default. This means if your directory tree looks like one below, you can get started. And okay. They're gonna fight. No, that's not really what I need. But first, let's take this here. And what else do we need? Okay. So what else do we need? We need the provision with Puppet. That's gonna install Puppet. What else? So Puppet apply. We don't need the Puppet agent. What else? Let's see where we are here. Okay, so we're gonna need a few things. Let me go ahead and check out what we need. I'm gonna open my notes here. We need a few environment variables. And yeah, this is what we need basically. Okay, so let's see, let's paste this in. So source is etc default. And then Puppet path, Puppet entry. Okay, so the etc default fl configure, I think it's a role. So let's see what we need here. Okay. So this is what we need for the apply. Let's paste that in. Oops, I didn't copy it correctly. Okay. So let's go here. And all right, so what I need is the role. So let's see if I'll configure. So this is what I need here. I don't actually need this, but let's copy this here. Let's close this and paste this in. And with that, let's put that in comment and also here, because this is only for my documentation. Okay, so okay, so you know what? I think I'm gonna maybe install, let's see, so manifest path, the path directory would contain the manifest file, and then the module path, combine modules. I think maybe I'm just gonna install Puppet on my own. And let's see what we have here. I have installed Puppet. Here, install Puppet. Okay, so we need to install Puppet this way. All right, so first we're gonna provision with shell. Let's look at Vagrant again. All right, so let's look at the shell provisioner. Okay, so config shell, and I don't want inline, and I want external. The shell provisioner can also take an option specifying a path to install script on a host machine. Vagrant will then upload the script into the guest and execute it. An example. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and copy this, and I want to paste it here. And then what I'm gonna do is and then it's gonna be install Puppet. And then here inside Vagrant, we're gonna have install Puppet sh, and this is what we're gonna have here. let's do install Puppet. And we'll do install Ruby as well. So let's copy this. And we'll call this function. Okay. Cool. So, guys in the chat room, if you have any questions, please post them. I will do my best to answer. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna continue from here. Okay. So let's quit this. We can quit this. Okay, so we have installed Ruby and we have installed Puppet, and one is calling the other. And we are calling install Puppet here. Okay, so let's open Vim again here. Okay, so paste this. And Puppet. Vagrant mesos master and then vagrant file. So we can go ahead and continue, and then this is gonna install Puppet. And then let's do the provisioning path. But I think for now, this is okay. I mean, I don't really need more than that for now. I think I can go ahead and continue with, installing. Okay, so first of all, someone is asking a question in the chat room on Twitch, asking what I'm building. And what I'm building is essentially I'm installing mesos on top of our production infrastructure. And what I want to do after I install mesos with redundancy and everything, I want to deploy flink on top of it. Like I mentioned before, we already have a flink cluster running, but it's running on a standalone mode. And what I want to do is I basically want to run it on top of mesos. Again, for all of the benefits of running it on the cluster. With whether if the master falls, then or if the master is down, then it's going to pick up another master. Fault tolerant, task managers, fault tolerant job managers, and so on and so forth. And what I'm doing right now is because I'm doing this and I'm essentially introducing a completely new system to production and completely new system to the cluster. Even before I go to dev and even before I go to staging, even before I go to any of those, what I'm doing right now is I'm creating a vagrant file for local installation. So I can run this entire cluster on my local machine, on my local laptop here, and I'll be able to verify the installation, make sure that if the job manager is down, it's gonna bring up, it's gonna bring another job manager up, and if the task manager is down, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's what I'm building. I'm sorry, I just noticed the question now. I don't know when you posted it. Let's see if we have other questions in the chat room. So far, no. So it's a good time to continue. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. And I think now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and look at this Puppet Mesos. It's pretty recent. I mean, September 22, 2016. I think it's safe to assume this is good with um, thanks. Yeah, it's pretty cool. um, okay, so let's see. So Puppet Labs APT 2.0. So let's see if I already have a dependency on that. Because if I need to install the dependency, then let's look at our Puppet file here. Puppet file.lock. And let's look at APT. And we have Puppet Labs APT 2.2.2. All right, so this is okay. So if it's 2.2.2.2, I'm fine. So I don't need to upgrade anything. I'm fine. So okay, so warning sign. One warning sign is down. Now for installing master. Let's see, class Mesos, repo Mesosphere, and Zookeeper. So I already have a Zookeeper cluster running, and it's running on dev, unfortunately. But what I can do is I can essentially connect to dev in order to get my to get Zookeeper. But I'm gonna need to connect to dev from the Vagrant file, and I'm not sure how that's gonna work with the network. So let's see what we have here. Okay, so let's see what we have in terms of our dev cluster. All right, so EC2 and profile is, I think I called it PR dev, I want to say. And then let's look for Kafka. No. So let's look at, let's look at what we have here. Maybe it's not PR dev. Okay, so it is PR dev. But let's see what we have in, so we have Flink probably, and Flink has Kafka on it and it has Zookeeper on it. Okay, so we have Flink here and we have those IPs, so I can grab those IPs. So that's fine. And then from Zookeeper array, the URI is created. So now I can essentially start with some hard-coded stuff. And then let's see how it goes from there. So first, let's go ahead and install this. Okay, so we have this. So let's see how we can install this. Okay, so let's look at our Puppet file. And let's see if we have Mesos here. We don't. Obviously, I'm doing a new version. I mean, a new system, so I can expect to have it ready for me. All right, so let's paste, let's paste that in here. Okay, so then we need librarian puppet install. And let's do librarian puppet install. Couldn't locate. Oh, I need it here. Okay. Okay, so while this is installing, um, let's go ahead and look at some documentation. For installing master, class mesos, repo mesosphere, and zookeeper. Okay, so first, before we do anything else, we're gonna need to create a new role. So let's see how we do with the roles here. And what we have development. Um, let's see. So roles, flink. No. So this is. Let's look at flink dot YAML. All right, so this is the flink.yaml for production. I want development, so flink. There it is. Okay, so we have profile zookeeper environment, AWS region. Okay. Okay, so flink module, roles manifest, and then flink. Okay, and here we'll do we have the role. So include profile flink, profile log stash, profile JDK. We have the log stash. Okay. Okay. What I want to see though is how do we decide on okay, so that's not it. Let's do flink JM. Okay. Okay, so this includes everything. And then we have the role here. So profile flink role is job manager. Okay. Okay, let's see here. So this and then role development and then devlink job manager. Okay, and then devlink, and then devlink task manager, and then Kafka. Okay. Okay. Okay, what I want to do. Okay, recovery, zookeeper, profile flink role is job manager, which we don't have here. Okay, so let's go ahead and just get started. Let's see if we have questions. No questions so far. Okay. So let's go ahead and continue with this. So Puppet modules, and let's create FL mesos and manifests, and let's do init like so. And then let's go ahead and create this directory. Mesos and manifests. Okay, so okay, so far so good. And let's go ahead and see what we have here. Okay, example slave configuration. Okay, should be as simple as this for the master node. Why though? Mesos zookeeper, mesos master. Oh, okay, so class mesosphere and then zookeeper and then the master. Okay, so var leave mesos. And quorum is 2. Do I need a? I think I need a master ID. It's useful for testing. Does not require zookeeper URI nor quorum variable. If you are running both master and slave on the same node, make sure you disable single role parameter. Okay, here I support. Okay, so mesos master, mesos zookeeper. Okay, so the house is getting pretty noisy, so I'm gonna stop it here, and I'm gonna be back to streaming tomorrow. So catch you tomorrow.